Okay, we are going to have a quick video about planetary interaction. Uh, I am in Lowsec. This is a bestower, really awesome ship. I have a toon who has a few skills, so we'll take a look at those. Planetary management skills, command center upgrades to level 4, interplanetary consolidation to 5, planetology to 3, remote sensing to 3. We'll talk a little bit about what some of those do in a minute. First off, there are some resources that you should look up. Eve University Planetary Commodities is probably the single best resource on planetary commodities you can get. With this toon, we're going to go after making two types of tier 3 resources. Real quick, tier 1 resources not worth much money. Tier 2 worth a little bit more. Tier 3 worth a lot more. Tier 4 really expensive. Clicking on the tier 3 resources, we can see a list and then what their required inputs are and what the types of planets are required. I like to set my toons up so that they only do one thing, not many different things. Keep it simple, keep it stupid. We're going to make transcranial microcontrollers, which will require nanites and biocells. So we're going to remember that. And that is all this toon is going to make. That's it. One P3 product made out of two P2 products. So the issue here is how do we make those P2 products, biocells and nanites, off of a barren planet. So if we go look at the P2 chart, biocells are made from two P1 products called precious metals and biofuels. And nanites are made from reactive metals and bacteria. Notice both sets come from a barren planet. So we're only going to be working with barren planets. Again, keep it simple, keep it stupid. You can get into these complicated things later on if you want. How do you get these P1 products? Again, scroll up. If we want biofuels, that means we need to harvest carbon compounds off of a barren planet. If we want precious metals, that means we need to harvest noble metals off a barren planet. Reactive metals, we get from base metals off the barren planet. And bacteria, we get from microorganisms. So, if we can get ourselves, get your iCloud off of here. Take some notes, right? Barren planet, microorgs, we're going to turn into bacteria. This is our P1. Along with bacteria, we'll get base metal, to turn that into reactive metal. So this would be one sort of setup. And again, we go down and look. Reactive metal and bacteria would give us nanites. but that is only 1/2 of what we would need. So we can call this barren planet number 1. So on barren planet number 2, again, we're going to need to create biocells. So we would need to get some precious metals off the planet. Oh, actually, those are, I will show you up here. To get precious metals, we need noble metal. And then to get biofuel, we need to get carbon compounds. So if we do precious metals plus biofuels, we are going to get biocells, a P2 or tier 2 product. This tune is only going to produce nanites and biocells. Eventually, on a manufacturing planet, we will take biocells, a P2, plus nanites, a P2, to get transcranial micro jabbers, whatever else those things are called. P3 product. Again, transcranial microcontrollers right here. Why do we do all this? It's about making ISK. Each transcranial microcontroller produced is about 70,000 ISK. So, in the grand scheme of things, let's call if one transcranial microcontroller is 70,000. 1,000 of those suckers. 70 million ISK. If we can get 4,000 TM per week, we have 280 million ISK per week. So some goals setting this up. Really cool if you could generate that much off one tune. Do not know if I'll be able to, but we shall see. So it's a basic overview of planning. I'm using one tune. I'm going to harvest a bunch of different stuff, turn it into P2 nanites, P2 biocells, and then later on, I'll have a different video of how to set up a manufacture planet where we drag all that crap to it and set it up to make us some money. So now we have a basic understanding of this. Let's take a look at what Mr. Charlie Wilson has to offer. Because Charlie Wilson has level 5 interplanetary consolidation, you can tell he can get up to the maximum of 6 planets. Planets take something called a command center. 1 command center per planet. The command center skill is for CPU and power grid. I have it up to level 4. I don't recommend going to level 5. I don't think it's necessary. Planetology allows you to scan the planet for resources, get it to at least level 3. Remote sensing, I get it to level 3. It allows me to handle my planets from so bloody far away I don't really care. I went and bought 5 six command centers already. What does a command center look like? This. Wahoo! Not a big deal. It's a command center. Costs 81,000 ISK. I placed it on my lovely planet. Alright. Remember that we want to get P1 resources off the planet, turn them into P2 resources. What does that really look like? Rather than explain it step by step, to start with, let's take a look at an already set up functioning colony. This is a colony. This is how I prefer to set mine up. There's two sections to this, the scanning and the build section. Alright, so right now we really can't tell what's going on. We go to scan, we can see the different resources. So on this planet, I'm going to be harvesting carbon compounds, which we turn into biofuels, noble metals, which we turn into precious metals. There are different types of buildings that I'm going to be using. Advanced processors, basic processors, a storage facility, and a spaceport, as well as some extractor heads, extractor control units. So here is my command center. I upgraded my command center all the way up to here because I have level 4. If I had level 5, I could upgrade it to there, but I don't. Level 4 gives me 17,000 for my power grid, 21,315 for CPU. Each building you drop down requires power grid and CPU, as well as your little links or roads. And we'll talk about routing and things like that in a little bit. So real basic stuff. Here we go. This is a spaceport. I build my colonies with the spaceport at the center. The spaceport allows us to ship items back and forth. Right now I just built this, so there's nothing in it. Back and forth to a customs office. That's top job here is a storage facility. 12,000 cubic meters, quite a lot. Notice the spaceport's only 10,000 cubic meters. These processors down along the sides are basic processors, or a barren basic industry facility, what I'd call a processor. I have installed schematics in them for biofuels on this one, biofuels on that one, biofuels on that one. We can take a look at their routes, what's going on. Let's do the end one, it'll make the most sense. It has an incoming route of carbon compounds, and it is exporting biofuels. It's the same with these other two. So all three of these processors are accepting carbon compounds and spitting out biofuels because I have installed a biofuel schematic in those basic processors. These basic processors have precious metal schematics installed. Their input is noble metals. So they are going to take an incoming route of noble metals. Notice a whole lot of noble metal and a very small output of precious metal. Again, this is pretty simple. We're getting noble metals, get precious metal, carbon compounds, get biofuel. The extractor heads I like to line up. So if all these three processors are taking noble metal as an input, then this extractor over by them, lo and behold, is extracting noble metals. Same thing, if these guys are taking carbon compounds as input, the extractor unit near them is extracting carbon compounds. These top two processors are different. They are advanced processors. They have the P2 schematic of biocells installed. They take two P1 inputs, biofuels, and precious metals. If we take a look, the routing is going to look a little bit more complicated here. I'll explain the transit stuff later on, but essentially there's an incoming route for biofuels, an incoming route for precious metals, and an outgoing route for biocells. What is so important about the biocells? It is 1/2 of our nice expensive product. So that whole planet is doing nothing but creating biocells. On another planet, we will do nothing but create nanites. But for today, this tune is only going to create biocells. That's it, nothing else. All right, routing. Routing's a tricky thing. Essentially, here's what I do with the routing. We get incoming materials, we route them to the spaceport. The spaceport routes those incoming materials to their basic processors. The basic processors then route a P1 product back to the spaceport. The spaceport takes that P1 product and routes it to an advanced processor. The advanced processors then route that P2 product to the storage facility. Walk you through that. We can do this without that full screen. All right. We are extracting carbon compounds. I've set it up for 2 days, 7 hours. We'll cover that later. That means we're going to generate a whole ton of carbon compounds, 35,000 of them in that cycle. And we had to set up a route. See, we have a product. It is routed. And we can look at this. Wow, that's just going to tell us about it. This route, now here's the information, is routed to the Barren launch pad. That's the destination route. So what this is essentially saying is that this extractor head is going to take the carbon compounds that it gets from these heads, this extractor control unit, and it's going to route them through this series of links. These are hard to see, but I've got little links in between here. You'll see me build them in a minute. But I'm routing to this spaceport. So, incoming carbon compounds, 35,000 of them. Notice there are 3 outgoing carbon compound routes. The incoming carbon compounds are coming from the Barren extractor control unit that we just showed. These outgoing routes, what are we doing with carbon compounds? We're taking them from this structure, this spaceport, and we're taking it to a Barren basic processor. These guys over here. So we've got 1 incoming from the extractor control unit, 3 outgoing routes to these guys. Easy enough. If we take a look at one of these guys, they take carbon compounds as an input. They will get them because those have been routed to them. They're going to produce biofuels. So if we take a look here, carbon compounds, incoming carbon compounds. If we look at that, we are getting the carbon compounds from our spaceport, our Barren launch pad. And then biofuels, outgoing biofuels from this processor back to the launch pad. Why do all these other routes show up that say transit? Largely because of these 2 guys back here. So if we look at the third one, same sort of deal. It's going to produce biofuels as long as it gets an input of carbon compounds. Its routing is going to look way cleaner because nothing is transiting it. It gets incoming carbon compounds from our launchpad spaceport, sends back biofuels to the launchpad spaceport. The same deal over here. Precious metals. We're sending the precious metals to the Barren launchpad. Well, the noble metals, sorry. Noble metals going to the Barren launchpad. the Baron launchpad is going to send our giant bulk of noble metals incoming and 3 outgoing routes of noble metals to our 3 basic processors. Our basic processors are going to have incoming noble metals from our Baron launchpad spaceport, and they're going to generate precious metals, and they're going to send it to our Baron launchpad spaceport. Lovely Mr. Spaceport then is going to get tankered drunk, probably, and then send out precious metals. Notice he's got 2 outgoing routes of precious metals. Where is he sending them to? The advanced processors. These guys up here at the top. Same thing with biofuels. Notice he has 3 incoming routes of biofuels and 2 outgoing routes of biofuels. Same with the precious metals. We have 3 processors incoming for precious metals. We're sending it out to 2 advanced processors. So with biofuels for these guys over here, 3 routes incoming to the spaceport, 2 routes outgoing from the spaceport to our advanced processors. So you look at our advanced processors, they make biocells, the P2 product, from biofuels and precious metals. So we will see that there's an incoming route for biofuels, an incoming route for precious metals, and outgoing route for biocells. The outgoing route for biocells is shipping them to the storage facility. Again, there's a transiting route here because of the other advanced processor. So I wanted you to get a kind of a big picture idea of what this looks like, and now we're going to go build one. Again, real quick, we can scan where on the planets are our carbon compounds. You can tell they're kind of over by this area. This is where I chose. They're kind of all over the planet, but they're right there. And our noble metals are right in here. All right. When we look at this planet, we have 13 installations. To all these other planets, they don't have any. So we're going to start from scratch. Here is our upgraded command center. I dropped the command center already on the planet. You have to be out in space to do that. And I dropped it near where I thought there might be some carbon compounds and where there might be some noble metals. So we're going to get started looking where do we want to put our spaceport, somewhere in between all this stuff. So I'll click on build, get our spaceport up. Here's fine. It does not have to be right next to your command center. And then start dropping in basic processors. I'm going to drop in 3 basic processors. For this material over here, which was noble metals. I'm going to drop in 3 basic processors on the other side. I do like things to be quite close together so you don't waste power grid and CPU for the links. These 3 basic processors I dropped over there will be for carbon compounds, which are over here. I'm going to drop in 2 advanced processors. That's going to create our biocells. I'm also going to drop in a storage facility because I am lazy and I like things to just stack up and I only pick them up every now and then. Now, Notice each time I dropped, I started using power grid. You're never going to run out of CPU, so don't worry about that. You're going to run out of power grid. Also notice we have no extractor control units, we have no links. First thing I'm going to do is link all these guys together. I'm going to hold down control, click, hold down control, and link everybody together. If you do not link, you cannot create routes. I'm going to go ahead and hit submit, just so it kind of saves it. None of this is ready yet. There's still a lot we got to do. Let's get our extractor control units in. I'm going to put these guys right here. And then I'm going to link the extractor control unit to one of those processors. It doesn't matter which one you link it to. I'm just putting it there for efficiency's sake. I'll put my other one maybe up here and link him. All right, now we're getting pretty close to where we can do this. Hit submit again. Now, this area here is carbon compounds, right? So this extractor control unit is going to extract carbon compounds, and I'm going to use these processors for carbon compounds. And they're going to produce biofuels. So I'm going to notice nothing's installed, so we're going to install a schematic of biofuels. And then it's a product that's not routed, so we're going to click on it, create route, and we're going to route it to our spaceport. Same thing. We want to create biofuels. We're going to route the biofuels to our spaceport. One more time. Good. So now we've got our extractor control unit. We don't know what it's extracting, right? So biofuels take carbon compounds. So click on carbon compounds. I'm going to set this to like 2 days and 8 hours because I'm lazy. This is how long our extraction cycle will take. And I'm going to click. We'll probably only want 3 extractor heads because bloody hell is this place wealthy. Yeah, it's freaking rad. Notice these numbers down here changing. The higher that number gets, yeah, like right there, that's good. Don't make them overlap or you're wasting resources. You'll see the red. But this is just basically awesomely rich. I'm glad I moved out to, holy hell, 206. Glad I moved out to a very low sec place. Now I've got my extractor heads out. I'm going to hit install program. And when I hit submit, it will start getting those resources. The problem is we have a product of carbon compounds that's not routed. So it's just going to pile up. That's no good. So we need to route the product that we're going to take out of the planet to the spaceport. The problem now is, if you can follow this logic here, we're getting the carbon compounds out. We're going to route them this way to the spaceport, but the spaceport right now is just going to say, crap, I've got carbon compounds, but I don't know what to do with them. We need to route the carbon compounds to the barren processors. So create route to a processor. Incoming carbon compounds, create route to the next processor. Again, find your incoming carbon compounds, create routes to your other processor, hit submit on all of that. And now we should double check our processors that we have incoming carbon compound routes, outgoing biofuels. So incoming carbon compound, outgoing biofuel, and because there's one processor behind it in the path, 2 transit routes. So incoming carbon compounds, outgoing biofuels, 4 transit routes because there are 2 processors behind it. So far so good. Let's switch over to do our noble metals. So these guys need schematics for precious metal. Install the schematic, route the precious metals to the spaceport. Install the schematic of precious metal. Route it to your spaceport, and one more time. Trust me, if you do this when you are hammered, you tend to make mistakes, and you come back like a week later and you wonder why nothing's working. It's because you screwed up your routing. Alright, so what did we do there? We installed a schematic and set a route out. They still don't have their incoming noble metals yet, because we haven't set up the extractor control unit. So set up extractor control unit for noble metals. Set it for the same thing as the other one. I'm doing 2 days, 8 hours because I'm lazy. I'm going to set 3 heads out, and I'm going to move those heads and watch those numbers. 155s are good. Yeah, something along these lines works out just fine. Hit install. And now we need to route that product, right? We're going to get all that noble metal, route it to our spaceport. And now the spaceport needs to route it to our 3 processors. So look down here, incoming noble metals, create a route. Incoming noble metals, create a route. And one more time. Alright, we are almost done with this planet. Freaking amazing. So, what have we done? We have set up these 2 legs of our journey, right? That was noble metals into precious metal, carbon compounds into biofuels. We now need to take both of those things, send them up to the advanced processors to make biocells. How do we do that? Routing. So we go look at what is available. I haven't let enough time go by, so there's nothing as there as a product, but there are routes available. Notice we have 3 incoming routes for biofuels and 3 incoming routes for precious metals. Click on any one of them, it doesn't matter. So precious metals create an outgoing route to one of our advanced processors. Say the top one here. Ah, see, made a mistake. That destination does not have a schematic. Go to your advanced processors, install a schematic for biocells. Now you're going to have a biocell product that's not routed. Remember, we want to route the final product into our storage facility at the top. So install a schematic in the second advanced processor. Route that product up to our storage facility. Now, when we go back to our spaceport, take a biofuel that's incoming, create a route, send it to one of your advanced processors. Do the same thing for the other advanced processor. Pick it doesn't matter which one, pick an incoming biofuel, send it to the other processor, the other advanced. Now we need to do the same thing for precious metals. Pick any one of the precious metals, create route, send it up to one of your advanced processors. And one more time, an incoming precious metals route. Create route up to one of your processors. I'm gonna hit submit and double check my processors. My advanced processors, again, they're going to create biocells from biofuel and precious metals. That means they need an incoming route for biofuel and an incoming route for precious metal. They have an outgoing route to the storage facility for biocells. Notice the transit routes because there is an advanced processor up top of this one. So this is a little bit cleaner. Incoming precious metals, incoming biofuels, outgoing biocells. So this is a fully set up planet that is going to generate far more product than any of the planets I have used in the past. Pretty simple to set up if you know how to do it. Again, this isn't much different than my other planets that I set up. Perhaps not as aesthetically pleasing or whatnot, but notice I cram everything together. You can click on one of your extractor control units, see how much time is left. You can also see how much it's going to generate. So this will generate 17,539 units of noble metal. The other one, 19,035 units. So it's not really fully optimized, but it's not that bad. I'm going to generate more carbon compounds than I am noble metals, so it's going to be a little bit off on the first planet I set up. Let's check about the one we just did. Noble metals, 13,876, quite a bit less, it looks like, from the other planet, and 15,000 for carbon compounds. So we could try to compensate for this. Carbon compounds is going to outweigh or be outproducing noble metals. If we have enough power left, I could stop my program, add another extractor head. Indeed we do. Install that, and now hit submit, and let's see. Oh, now we're way out of whack. 20,000 noble metals to 15,000 carbon compounds. Do we have enough power left to throw one more here? No, we do not. This is where you'll get this message. You try and install another extractor head, you don't have enough power. So I'm going to hit install program anyway. Submit. And I don't want things to be that far out of whack, so I'm going to go back and fix this guy. But notice I can't hit stop program yet to take away one of my extractor heads. I will have to wait some minutes for that to happen. Could be like 30 seconds, might be, who knows. So this is the basics of planetary interaction from a noob. I've not read that this setup is a good setup. People don't share information well. What I can tell you is that trial and error, I have learned that this setup works the best for me so far to make money off of this. Again, with this one tune with six planets eventually going to be set up, I'm going to guess that he will probably generate around 2,000, maybe 2,500 biocells per week. So if I had another tune that made 2,500 nanites per week, that's, around 170 to 180 million per week, something like that. We'll see. I will obviously let you guys know. But that is Planetary Interaction Part 1.